Hey everybody, Peace Eye here. Today we're going to be doing part 4 of the Banshee. I'll get right to it. A memory swam into my mind of something Josiah told me when I was younger. There is such a thing as a Banshee, he said, a woman who wails and cries, warning of a death to come. A Banshee. The lawyer inside me scoffed at the idea. Children's stories, to keep them good and in their beds. But my memory of the night before would not leave my mind. It haunted me all the day long. Dread aside, the day was rather pleasant. There was much laughter, as there often is when families come together. I took advantage of my visit to see some of the sights of Petropolis, including the Palacio de Cristal, a building made entirely of glass for the sole purpose of demonstrating engineering prowess. It was quite remarkable and reminded me of the larger structure that had once stood in Chicago, and I very much wished that I could have seen it. After exploring the city for the afternoon, I found myself at the Imperial Museum, where the Emperor himself once lived. The most impressive structure to me, however, was the Church St. Peter's of Alcantara, an enormous cathedral that overlooks the city square. I never would have thought coming to Brazil that I would find impressive Gothic architecture, yet here it was standing right before my eyes. The interior of the church was just as impressive, and after exploring I found myself below ground, reading inscriptions on the ancient tombs in the burial crypt. This is where the last emperor himself was buried, and as I looked around, I found myself suddenly alone. Alone with the dead. I thought, how perfect. It seemed that death was following me everywhere I went. Well, seeing as I could not stay here by myself any longer, I quickly made my way up to the stairs as I was reaching the top. The door swung closed all by itself. I tried the handle, but the door was locked tight. Minutes passed. I was alone in the dark, and no amount of banging or shouting seemed to do me any good. Terror soon began to set in, and I began to think this trip was entirely a mistake. I had just about given up hope and resolved to die here in the dark when I heard footsteps. I resumed my pounding on the door. Evidently, this time someone heard me and the door was thrown open, light poured in. Disculpa, amigo? ¿Cuánto tiempo você estive aqui? I'm sorry, I speak English. I'm an American. Ah, American. English. The man before me was short, balding, with a long, single twisted eyebrow. I don't want to seem judgmental or rude, but he was not a pleasant man to look upon. His eyes seemed to bulge out of his head, giving him a bug-like quality to him. However, he was kind enough, and he escorted me back to the chapel where we engaged in a friendly conversation. His name was Wagner, I learned, and he was a bus driver here in the city. His English was poor, but he seemed eager to talk to me, even more eager to learn about America. When I told him that I was a student at Yale, his eyes seemed to grow even larger. Yale? Rich? Your family? Lots of money? Well, I suppose you could say that. Yale isn't cheap. No, lots of money to learn at university. And so our conversation went. Eventually I grew tired of trying to decipher what the man was getting at, and the time was growing late. So I bid him adieu and caught the next bus back to Josiah's house. As I was walking down the foggy street to the long staircase, I saw something ahead of me on the side of the road. It looked almost like an animal, digging, but it was large, and for a moment I was seized with fear. An animal that large could be dangerous. What kind of animals did they have here in Brazil? I felt a wave of uncertainty wash over me. I felt a stranger here, in a strange land. I assumed most travelers, at one point or another, feel some level of this as they come to terms with a foreign place. But the fog cleared somewhat, and I was able to distinguish that the creature was actually a person, digging in a pile of trash. I approached the person. Their face was covered in filthy rags, ridden with holes. As I neared, the thing turned its head in my direction. I saw the face that was hidden from me the night before. The woman's face from the stairs. Oh man, I'm just going to stop it right there. We'll continue this next time. Bye.